It's been more than 100 days since October 7th, the horrific massacre that happened in Israel's south, close to the Gaza border. And unfortunately, there are still hostages inside Gaza. There are still soldiers being wounded on a daily basis, people being killed, and the world has kind of passed on. So today, we decided it's time that we remember, it's time that we make sure that the world does not forget. So we're on our way to the southern border of Israel.
In the town of Be'eri that was hit one of the hardest from the massacre, today we're gonna go and we're gonna see and document what actually happened there, the atrocity of the massacre from Hamas and all of those, just the horrendous attacks. I personally am trying to prepare myself for what we're gonna see today. We've seen pictures, but to literally see it, this is going to be an intense day.
There were more than 3,000 terrorists and Gazan citizens who came after them, coming through the border and going from town to town, more than 22 cities and towns, massacring and slaughtering, going from house to house, women, children, babies, elderlies, Holocaust survivors. Whoever they could, they just packed like a herd and took them to Gaza, taking them as hostages. Till today, they are being kept in horrible conditions. They're being abused, drugged, sexually assaulted. Some of the stories of the people who came back here just give us the images of how terrible those months that they spent there were, and how important it is for us to bring them back as soon as possible. And when we see around the world so many people on social media and on media that are questioning what had happened here on the 7th of October, who are trying to spread lies, denying that massacre that they committed here, it is our duty and our job not to be silent ever again, and to speak about it, to bring out the truth, to bring out the reality, the facts, so that the world understand how Israel has to defend itself against those barbaric terrorists who came in, and what Hamas really is. And I want to thank you, because you are carrying that message. This is your community that you're going back to. This is your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, who hear here and there different conspiracy theories, different people who are telling them, they didn't even kill one single baby. Show me that picture. Well, you will see the proof. You hear it from firsthand. We have here Eyal and Yuval, sorry, who are here with us. They are residents of this community of Be'eri. They're going to tell us what they've experienced here on the 7th of October, and they're going to tell us about their family members, who are, some of them still being held as hostages in Gaza. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to that you share this experience with us, for us to take that message as well. So thank you, please.
So I want to say also thank you in our name for coming here. This is my brother-in-law, Tal. Tal is still being held in Gaza. Not 50 meters from where we're standing right now. 3 members of my family were murdered and 7 members were taken. We were blessed enough that 6 of them came back, and I just noticed this is coincidental that I'm wearing the shirt that I walked around before they all came back. And now we have 1 member still there, but this is what I walked around before. I want to show you that Tal's children, and this is Yael, she's 3 years old, Nave is 8 years old, their father is still in Gaza. They've been there for 50 days. This is my sister, Adi. my mother Shoshan, and this is my aunt Sharon, and Noam, who is 12. They took babies, they took children. No one can deny that Yael, there is videos of this 3-year-old girl who came back after 50 days. And ever since then, and I've lived my entire life in Be'eri. Unfortunately, I only come back now to do the tours, because if it's not for something that's relevant for Tal, I can't bring myself emotionally to come back here. My grandparents, I just told her this. This is the gate to the cemetery. The trees over there is where the cemetery of the kibbutz is. My grandparents who founded the kibbutz are buried there. And I say this with full heart that it's truly a blessing that they both passed away 1 year and 2 years ago, that they didn't see what happened here. And yes, I mean, this happened on the 7th of October, but for me every day it's almost the same, because we can't continue our life. Tal is over there. And that's why it's so important that you came here today. We need all the help that we can get. 3 days ago, we found out that 2 more members that were taken from Be'eri alive are not gonna come back. We are gonna see their houses. I am going to tell their story as well, because it's important. Because this is urgent. The people over there, they don't have time. We as the families, and we have the people of Be'eri, and we have the people that live in Israel, we need all the help we can get. That's why I really, really want to say thank you for coming here, for helping us spread this, and for doing everything that you can to help us.
I was here on October 7th with my wife and my 3 kids, 2.5, 5, and 8, in this house with our dog, with a key member of the family, as you will hear in a minute. And 6:30 in the morning, we woke up from the missiles, got into the safe room, and then we got messages that there are possible terrorists in the area. At about 10 minutes past 7, we started hearing shootings and messages on WhatsApp that they're in my house, they're in my house. As time went on, it was everywhere. This was a war zone, so we kept hearing shootings and shootings. It took us a few hours until someone came into our house. At about 12:15, we heard someone going into our neighbor right here, and she was killed. About a minute later, we got a call from our daughter saying someone got into our house and the connection was lost. We heard moving inside our house, and she was later found dead in our bed, and they shot her. And then we heard loud knockings on the door, like, you know, someone trying to break in. We put the sofa and the table on the door, so on the outside door, so they couldn't break in. And then we heard the window breaking. We were in the mood of saying to our kids, move aside, because we knew the bullets were going through the doors, and told them to be quiet. If you think of Anna Frank, we thought of Anna Frank at that moment, and I was holding the handle. As you know, people were fighting for the handle of the safe room. And then they started walking around the house. I know they took things. And then for some reason, my dog started barking. She's a big dog, and they left, apparently. So we were lucky, and then they moved to the other houses. Another neighbor of us was murdered with his caretaker. So this is this neighborhood, which was the quiet neighborhood. So only 3 people here were murdered. So I guess you can call it luck. And then about an hour or 2 hours later, some other people got into the house. We heard, you know, glasses on someone walking on glass inside the house. Again, kids be quiet and all that, and then silent. And then when the soldiers came to rescue us, for some reason 2 people were hiding inside the house, 2 Gazans. They were maybe afraid, I don't know, or something. So this is my story. We were pretty lucky, I would say. We got out at about 4 p.m., which was rather early, but it also got us walking in daylight, and then shooting started and went to duck and everything like that. And then the kids saw a pile of bodies, and a 5-year-old saying, "Daddy, look, bodies," and something that you don't really imagine. Through all that, I was constantly telling people we have a kibbutz to build. We need to come back, but as you know, it's difficult. So this is my story. I'm at the moment in the Dead Sea in a hotel because we have not come back here yet. As I said, my cousin, who we will visit the house later on, was kidnapped, and we discovered that he's dead 1 week ago. Apparently he was shot or something like that. It doesn't really matter. They don't have time, like Yuval said. So they need to be back as soon as possible. Every day can be their last. So I was here, and 40 meters from me was this house that we will go into now, and you will see that this is peaceful and green and everything, but you will learn what happened just a few meters from me. While I was over there, and I would say keeping the kids busy in the Netflix and in the tablets, we were lucky to have power. In this house, different things happened. Somewhere around 10 a.m. or something like that, they got into this house. In this house, the house of Eshel and Kinneret got. They had with them Carmel got. I see now on the rocket it says Carmel. The daughter, she's 39 and she's still in Gaza. And also their son Alon with his wife Yarden and their granddaughter Geffen. So Eshel was hiding somewhere in the bathroom, and for some reason he was not found. Kinneret was murdered, and the Carmel and Alon and his family, Yarden and Geffen, were taken to Gaza. Alon and Yarden and Geffen were able to jump from the car right by the GAZA border, and then Alon took the Geffen, she's 3-year-old, on his hands. He was able to run, and Yarden was taken to Gaza and was released after 54 days, if I'm not mistaken. And they are reunited and relatively fine, but his sister Carmel is still in Gaza, and his mother unfortunately dead. I actually met Eshel, the father, on Friday. His wife is dead, and his girl is in Gaza. I don't know how it all's on. And it's not really clear what happened here, because what I've just described does not bring to this, but after they took them, they also robbed the house and made a lot of mess. And after that, there was some kind of fighting with terrorists in this house. I don't know what caused this, but maybe some kind of tank shooting or something like that. After most people were evacuated, the fighting here was the IDF and the terrorists were something really massive, as you can see. So this is this house. You can see here the safe room. You can take a look. These and the other neighborhood that we will visit soon, the western neighborhoods, the olives and the vineyard, they're called. They're the western ones. They were hit the most. And in this spot, you can see the second floors when the security group of Be'eri, about 10 people, when they got here in the morning, about 7:30, they were armed, but with M16s. There were a few of them coming here. The terrorists were waiting on the rooftops with machine guns, and when they got about this line, they started taking heavy fire from the rooftops. So the fight was not really, an equal fight here. They were really prepared for, they were prepared for the IDF, and the small security group who got here had no chance. And a word about Be'eri, because I heard about the green in the middle of the desert. Be'eri was and will be, is a paradise. It's a green island in the Negev in the south. And Be'eri is a socialist village, so we share everything. We share the salaries, we share education, we share health, you know, so the money is collective. We have a collective community or something, and then we get what we need from the community. So it's pretty unique. You know, the kibbutz, 120 years ago, so in Be'eri it's still alive. So this is about Be'eri, and those are the western and the latest neighborhoods. So they are the, let's say, the prettiest, and they were the most attractive.
Hi, my name is Shanait. Nice to meet you. This is my dad's house. He died here on the 7th of October. This was my childhood house. Okay, I was born here. I was born 1970. He was shot around 1:45 and was bleeding to death. They could not rescue him because the army couldn't come here and save him. He was begging for his life, and eventually he died. I was in the Mamad security room with my 3 children and my husband, and we could not save him. I tried to go out from my house. My house is just around there. So from my house, I could see this house burning on fire, and I knew he was shot. I took a knife and I tried to go out of the house with the knife and save him. And as soon as I got out of the house, I saw a terrorist coming across my house, so I had to enter back, go inside the mamad, and I called the person who was above me. He had a weapon, and he shot him. And then they told me that the whole area was covered with terrorists, so we could not save him. At that time, when I was in the safe room with my 3 children, one of them is 17, the girl is 16, and my son is 13. They were all losing their best friend at the same time, because their best friends all live in the neighborhood where everybody got slaughtered, okay? So at the same time, I was on my mobile on WhatsApp trying to save them and trying to relax the children at the same time and trying to see what I can do with my dad. It was horrific. I wanted to listen to a small record that my sister, not this sister, my other sister, she doesn't live in Be'eri. She lives in Herzliya. And at the time, because my father knew she's not in the kibbutz and she's not in any danger, he contacted her and told her, Stav, I'm bleeding. Stav, they shot me. Now what happened was, my dad was born in Egypt. My mom is American. I'm first generation in Israel. So my dad speaks fluent Arabic. He sat outside here. He sat outside here. This was the entrance of the house. He sat here. And when he sat here, the terrorists came from that end there where they shot Ohad and his 10-month-old baby, okay? And they saw him here. All this information we know only afterwards, okay? We only know that now. We didn't know that at the time. Many people are coming to me now and telling me, you know, we called your dad at 12 o'clock. He was outside his house. He didn't want to go and enter the bomb, and we didn't believe that it can be such a thing. And so they probably saw him sitting here. This was his canoe, a small, a small car, I don't know how you call it in English. And they saw him and he came. And then his friend called him and he told him, listen, I'm sitting here with 8 soldiers outside my house. Eventually we know it was not soldiers. 12 o'clock in the afternoon, there was no soldiers in the kibbutz. It was terrorists dressed as soldiers. They entered the house. Then he begged for his life. He said, please don't shoot me. You can take everything you want. But they shot him on his left hand and left him. They started exploding the house. He entered the safe room, and then he started calling us. okay, telling us it's bleeding, he's losing conscience until we lost contact with him. Before, you see all these flowers, I don't know what you call them in English, you see, but this is very, it's my dad. My dad planted them everywhere, and the seeds all over. You can see behind you, also there in the corner. There's many places. When they built the road between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, they went through the mountains and it took the boats that they were going to throw. And ever since then, 60 years later, this is here. I want you to listen to this record. I've lost my fingers. I need an ambulance. I can't hear you. I don't hear you clear. You've got to put something on your arm to stop the bleeding. My fingers went. It blew up my fingers, my left hand.
She's screaming, you're still alive.
I can't hear you. You're alive. Can you hear me?
האצבעות זה בשתי הידיים או ביד אחת?
Your finger. Did they shoot you both sides or one side?
Now he's saying he can't hear her.
אבא, עשו לך את זה ביד
I'm
אחת?
losing blood. I'm losing a lot of blood.
או שתי ידיים?
יד שמאל.
יד שמאל.
My left
קח משהו חזק, חוסם עורקים, ותשים על יד
Wrap it
שמאל.
up. Block the bleeding.
אתה חייב.
אני הולך להתעלף.
לא.
I'm fainting. I'm fainting. Please come and help me. Come and save me. I'm fainting. I'm fainting.
אבא, אבא.
Abba, Father.
אבא, אתה חייב, אתה רוצה להיות איתי? אני רוצה שתהיה איתי.
אני לא שומע כלום.
אני רוצה שתהיה איתי כל החיים, אבא. אתה הבטחת לי.
Bye.
Now he's saying goodbye.
אתה הבטחת לי. אתה חייב לשים חוסם עורקים על יד שמאל. חייב להתעורר.
You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You have to put a block. My sister, she's a paramedic in the army, okay? She told them to block the bleeding. My dad, he had a heart attack many years ago. He's taking aspirin. So therefore, the bleeding is constant. Once you get shot, it does not stop. Eventually, he died. They found him on Tuesday. We were evacuated Saturday night, late at night, nearly Sunday morning. They found him, they took him from the mamad. You can come around with me if you want. This is his mamad, safe room. Inside the house, it was such a big explosion that they could not find the mamad room, the mamad door, the army, because it looked like one piece of the wall. You understand? They could not see the door; it all melted, because they used special fire, special thing that made a massive explosion. The neighbors from upstairs, I live there. I could see the fire of this building from my house. The neighbor jumped with their 3 children on this roof, down here. The son, 16 years old, my daughter's friend, broke his leg. The neighbors from up here got a message that he fell. They ran downstairs while the terrorists are around, rescued the family and took them to the safe room. This family down here, 5 children, jumped to the other one. This is all by WhatsApp. We're telling them, now there's no terrorists in here. You can jump there. Now there's no terrorists here. You can jump. This family there, 2 babies, jumped the same but at the other side. Didn't break no legs, thank God for that. This used to be one of the best houses. This used to be my childhood. This used to be a tree we climbed on. There's nothing remained from this. My pain regarding my father is the way they died, the way he died. It's just, it's not fair, okay? The message you need to bring to the world is that these are terrorists. They don't care for people's life. We care for people's life. Otherwise, we would have wiped Gaza many years ago, okay? There's no problem for Israel to wipe Gaza, but we did not do that because we're human. I was born in 1970, as I told you. I, every Saturday, went and ate food in Gaza. My dad's best friends are from Gaza. My bar mitzvah was with people here from Gaza, okay? Soon as they started to make trouble, the borders closed. They're lost, but also are lost, okay?
Again, this is still the olives neighborhood, and this is the vineyard. In those houses, literally everyone who was here was murdered. Sigal's mother was in this house, in the second one. She was murdered. And in this house, Tammy Suchman was here, 70-something-year-old. She was here alone, and her son, who is also the CEO of the factory here, Berry Print, and my boss, was talking to her on the phone. He was in the middle of the kibbutz for about 2 hours until she said, "Ben, they're here, they're attacking me." And then he heard on the phone that they asked for rings and, you know, valuables and things like that. And then they took her. A day later, they got a tracking of her phone in Gaza, and she was considered to be kidnapped. However, a few days afterwards, she was found in the end of this road, dead. This road that you see here, there were famous footages on Telegram of hostages being led here. It was like a walk of death because everyone who was in this footage ended up in a pile in the end of this road. A terrible one. If you think of the Holocaust, then this is it. So this is the story of this neighborhood. One single message is we have people alive in Gaza. Every day, the chances of them coming back alive goes down, and they need to be back as soon as possible. This is the main thing. We were, we were attacked once. Everyone here deserves to be home. So this is the main thing.
Seen through Be'eri, the atrocities and the crimes against humanity that were committed by Hamas here in this land to those people, to those communities. The most peaceful, loving communities in Israel were viciously attacked and butchered. And we're coming here today in Tu B'Shvat, which is our holiday of plantation. We plant trees and we plant things around the country so that we grow. And in that sense, there's a sentence, and it really feels like that coming out of Be'eri. They thought they will bury us in the ground, but they didn't realize that the Jewish people, us here, Israelis, we're strong. We're a seed. And when they bury us in the ground, we will grow and we'll rise up from those ashes and we'll continue to grow mentally, physically, emotionally. We've taken this very hard experience into our heart, but as a nation, I know that we have to learn how to grow from it. And there's one thing we have to remember, that our people have to be safe and secure, and it is our job to keep ourselves and our children safe and secure. We will never let our security in the hands of anyone else. No other ruler, no other government. It is the Jewish people, army, that needs to defend us and our children. And with these words, we'll go and plant things that will grow and will continue to live through that land that had suffered so much. And thank you so much for helping us rebuilding it.
Sharon, I wanted to add, thank you. In hard times, I think a lot of people are looking back to the words of the prophets when we, to gain strength to rebuild after all the horrors that we just witnessed. I was thinking of Ezekiel. Ezekiel? Yehezkel 36, he says, the desolate land shall be tilled instead of lying desolate in the sight of all who pass by. So they will say, this land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden. The wasted, desolate, and ruined cities are now fortified and inhabited. Then the nations which are left all around shall know that I, the Lord, have rebuilt the ruined places and planted what was desolate. I, the Lord, have spoken it, and I will do it. So we take courage now that God's involved. The people of Israel will be restored to this land. They will dwell safely here. It will happen. We've seen horrors now, but we do take hope, and as we plant these trees, I think it's a symbol, like you mentioned. We're planting here. We want to see it grow. We want to see this land that's been the destruction's been so great. But we're going to plant and pray and hope for better times, and a time when all of Israel will be gathered here together and building the nation strong, secure, and healthy. All the hostages returned. I think as we all plant, we will have this in mind. But the words of the prophets will come to be. We all believe it. We know that we'll see that day soon. Lord willing, maybe soon. Amen.
The war is still happening. Guys, the footage that you just saw was filmed only 4 days ago. As we speak, there are still hostages being held inside of Gaza, and there are soldiers dying every single day in defense of the people of Israel. Right now, the people of Israel need your prayers, but they also need your physical support. We need to make sure that those horrible atrocities that took place inside of Be'eri, the footage that you just saw, does not happen inside of Judea and Samaria. That's why here at Hayovel and the Israel Guys, we started Operation Itai. We are airlifting critical, much needed equipment and supplies from all over the world here to Israel, and those supplies are going straight into the towns and communities of Judea and Samaria. We're bringing in things like protective vests, helmets, thermal drones, night vision goggles, binoculars, flashlights, and much, much more. Guys, now is the time for people from all over the world, from around the world, to rise up with one voice to equip and defend Israel's biblical heartland, making sure that a situation like the attacks from Gaza, like the attack on Be'eri, will never happen inside of Judea and Samaria. Please join us if there is ever a time to show your support for the nation, for the people of Israel. It is right now. We've already brought in multiple shipments of equipment and supplies, and those supplies have already gone straight into the towns and communities of Judea and Samaria, but we need your help in the way of financial support to bring in all of the much needed supplies. Guys, please do your part in defending the land and people of Israel. You can go to operationitai.com, or you can just click on the link in the description below.